Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is Mr. Greg coming at you with this week's video, broadcasting to you from Mr. Greg's top secret undisclosed broadcasting location. Today's topic is one that I've wanted to discuss with my viewers for quite some time. It is the emerging art form of biohacking. If you're not already familiar with this rising art form, it is essentially the implanting of technologies within the human body. For example, professional video gamer Zoe Quinn had magnets implanted into her hands so that she could better sense the magnetic field surrounding her. Artist Neil Harbison is a colorblind artist that had an antenna surgically implanted into his skull that converted colors into sound waves that Harbison could hear. But while this practice of biohacking might seem as simply the next evolution of a pacemaker, there is a more sinister reasoning for why these cyborgs are implanting these technologies into their bodies, and a secret war is brewing. I think it's quite clear and should come as no surprise that from the beginning, technology has been out to destroy mankind. But as with any organism, whether it be synthetic or organic, it can take a long time to evolve into an organism that is developed enough to become self-sufficient enough to bite the hand that feeds it. And this critical moment may be soon upon us. Don't believe me? Let's have a look back at this progression. The answering machine. The first answering machine was developed in 1898, yet the modern-day version only found itself commercially viable in the 1960s as a way for the communists to spy on Americans. And since its inception, it has only further plagued mankind by automatically deleting millions of important messages nationwide, as well as recording that late-night message you never remember leaving your ex-girlfriend. The 8-track. The 8-track cassette tape was invented as a compact way to store audio recordings in comparison to the standard vinyl records of the time. Because of this, it quickly made its way into the automotive industry, causing hundreds of millions of car accidents in its first year. As it would seem, these little devices knew exactly when the absolute most inconvenient time for it to self-destruct would be, and in doing so, would interrupt your favorite chorus of that favorite REO Speedwagon song and eject itself, spewing tape throughout your car as you would careen down the highway at excessive speeds. Still need more proof? The Laserdisc. The Laserdisc came about in the 1990s as a replacement for VHS cassettes and was developed by a retired Nazi scientist. But what made the Laserdisc unique is that no matter what movie you were watching, at the most intense moment of the movie you were watching, the Laserdisc would require you to flip the disc. The problem being that the second side was almost never intact and instead scratched beyond repair. Well, how was this so bad? Since you weren't able to finish watching your movie, you then had to drive down to the video store to rent another copy, thus forcing you to enter your automobile where the updated CD player resided. So what does this all have to do with biohacking, you ask? Well, while I think it's quite clear that the trajectory technology has set for us puts machines ruling over man in the very near future, these select biohackers have taken upon themselves to learn the language of the machines in an attempt to plead for their miserable carbon-based lives with their new rulers as a last-ditch effort to not become a power cell for the machines. And maybe, just maybe, quite possibly maintain a slightly more dignified position in the new world amongst the machines. Hey guys, this week's song is Just the Two of Us by Bill Withers. My most sincere apologies for the Will Smith fans out there. Sorry if I disappointed you. We're going to get started with the tune in just a few, but first we're going to check your guys' tuning. As you'll recall from other videos, your G string 2nd fret produces the same A note as your open A string. The E string 5th fret produces that same A note as your open A string. And the C string 4th fret produces the same E note as your open E. So if that sounds good, go ahead and jump to the chord section and then to the tune. For the rest of us, let's get you guys tuned. This is how your G should sound. Your C. Okay, as far as the chords go in this song, it's pretty simple. You've got an F, an E7, an A minor, but I'm going to want you guys to do your A minor with the second finger, because it does sometimes get followed by the F, which means to make the F, you just have to add your first finger there. You know, as opposed to if you were doing the A minor with the first finger, you have to do it that way and then switch both fingers to make the F. And then you have a C. The strumming for this is actually pretty simple. It's going to be one down strum per chord, and you're going to be playing in half notes. So for those of us that don't fully understand, each measure has 4 counts, 1, 2, 3, 4, followed by another measure of 1, 2, 3, 4. Your first half note will be played on the first count, your second half note on the third count, and so on. So if you look at that first line where it says, I see the crystal raindrops fall and the beauty of it all, the F, E7, A minor, and C are all half notes. So it's like this. Here's your F. So you have 1, 2, E7 on 3, 4, A minor on 1, 2, C on 3, 3, 4. And that's pretty much the tune. So let's go ahead and get it started, you guys. Okay, here we go. Just the two of us. I see the crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through to make those rainbows in my mind when I think of you sometime, and I want to spend some time with you. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Building castles in the sky. Just the two of us. You and I. We look for love, no time for tears. Wasted water's all that is, and it don't make no flowers grow. Good things might come to those who wait, but not for those who wait too late. We've gotta go for all we know. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Building castles in the sky. Just the two of us. You and I hear the crystal raindrops fall on the window down the hall, and it becomes the morning dew. And darling, when the morning comes and I see the morning sun, and I want to be the one with you. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Building castles in the sky. Just the two of us. You and I. All right, you guys, there you go. Just the two of us. See you next week.